I would like to warmly welcome the Secretary General, distinguished presidents, prime ministers, and other high-level representatives present in the Security Council chamber. Your presence today underscores the importance of the subject matter under discussion.
Before each of you is a list of speakers who have requested to participate in accordance with Rules 37 and 39 of the Council's Provisional Rules of Procedure, as well as the previous practice of this Council in this regard. I propose that they be invited to participate in this meeting. There being no objection, it is so decided. The Security Council will now begin its consideration of Item 2 of the agenda. I wish to draw the attention of Council members to Document S/2025/593, a letter dated 18 September 2025, from the Permanent Representative of the Republic of Korea to the United Nations, addressed to the Secretary General, transmitting a concept paper on the item number under consideration. I now give the floor to the Secretary General, His Excellency Mr. Antonio Guterres.
Mr. President, Excellencies, I thank the Republic of Korea for convening this high-level open debate at a decisive moment for global cooperation on artificial intelligence. AI is no longer a distant horizon. It is here, transforming daily life, the information space, and the global economy at breathtaking speed. The question is not whether AI will influence international peace and security, but how we will shape that influence. Used responsibly, AI can strengthen prevention and protection, anticipating food insecurity and displacement, supporting demining, helping identify potential outbreaks of violence, and so much more. But without guardrails, it can also be weaponized. Recent conflicts have become testing grounds for AI-powered targeting and autonomy. AI-enabled cyber attacks can disrupt or destroy critical infrastructure in minutes. The ability to fabricate and manipulate audio and video threatens information integrity, fuels polarization, and can trigger diplomatic crises. And the massive energy and water demands of large-scale models, coupled with competition over critical minerals, are creating new drivers of tension. Excellencies, innovation must serve humanity, not undermine it. Last month, the General Assembly established an independent international scientific panel on artificial intelligence and an annual global dialogue on AI governance. This is a recognition of the unique convening power of the UN. Together, these initiatives aim to connect science, policy, and practice, provide every country a seat at the table, and reduce fragmentation. They represent practical tools to make AI safer, more inclusive, and more accountable. I will soon launch an open call for nominations for the scientific panel. I urge all member states to nominate eminent, diverse experts and support the panel's expertise, independence, and regional balance with the resources needed for timely, science-based assessments. I also call on governments and stakeholders to engage fully in the global dialogue and to shape inclusive, human rights-based global norms. Excellencies, today I wish to focus on 4 priorities. First, we must ensure human control over the use of force. Let us be clear, humanity's fate cannot be left to an algorithm. Humans must always retain authority over life and death decisions. The Council and Member States must ensure that military use of AI remains in full compliance with international law and the Charter, and human control and judgment must be preserved in every use of force. I reiterate my call for a ban on lethal autonomous weapon systems operating without human control, with a view to concluding a legally binding instrument by next year. And until nuclear weapons are eliminated, any decision on their use must rest with humans, not machines. Second, we must build coherent global regulatory frameworks. From design to deployment to decommissioning, AI systems must always comply with international law. Military uses must be clearly regulated through legal reviews, human accountability, and strong safeguards against misuse. We need greater transparency, confidence building, and cooperation to reduce risks, especially in conflict zones. AI must never lower barriers to acquiring or using prohibited weapons or undermine disarmament obligations. I welcome the Responsible Artificial Intelligence and the Military Domain Initiative and commend your leadership in these efforts. Last December, the General Assembly adopted a resolution on AI in the military domain and its implications for international peace and security. Building on that, I presented a report to the General Assembly recommending states to take concrete steps to initiate a dedicated and inclusive process to address this issue. I urge Member States to take this forward. Third, we must protect information integrity in situations of conflict and insecurity. The UN Global Principles for Information Integrity provide a foundation for coordinated action. Governments, platforms, media and civil society must cooperate to detect and deter AI-generated deception, from disinformation campaigns to deepfakes targeting peace processes, humanitarian access, and elections. We need transparency in the entire AI life cycle. Rapid and verified attribution of information sources and their dissemination, and systematic safeguards to prevent AI systems from spreading disinformation and igniting violence.
Excellencies. Fourth and finally, we must close the AI capacity gap. Technology can be an engine for sustainable development, foster stability and peace. We must create space for all nations to be able to shape our AI future. This means investing in capacity building, supporting talent development, safe, reliable public infrastructure, promoting data diversity to reduce bias, and ensuring equitable access to AI tools, computing power, and training. Last month, I presented a report outlining innovative voluntary financing options to support AI capacity building in developing countries. I urge you to support these efforts. Excellencies, from nuclear arms control to aviation safety, the international community has risen to the challenge of technologies that could destabilize our societies by agreeing to rules, by building institutions, and by insisting on human dignity. The window of opportunity is closing to shape AI for peace, for justice, and for humanity. We must act without delay. Thank you.
I thank the Secretary General for his briefing. I now give the floor to Professor Yoshua Bengio for Université de Montréal.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President of the Republic of Korea, Your Excellency Lee Jae-myung. Thanks for offering me the opportunity to speak with the Security Council today. We start with a bit of looking backwards. In recent years, we've seen the trajectory of AI going towards greater and greater capabilities. And it has been particularly surprising even for experts in the field, including myself. The scientific data is very clear. the ability of AI to solve tasks and to perform like humans and have agency have been advancing rapidly. Many researchers are concerned that as companies are starting to use AI to advance AI research, this could even accelerate. Of course, I don't have a crystal ball, and nobody knows what the future advances are going to be and how fast they will go, but we can look at the past trends, and if these trends continue, some AIs could surpass most humans across most cognitive tasks in as little as 5 years, maybe 10 years. This would be a radical change in the history of mankind. Trillions of dollars are being invested to develop AI further and further, and we're now seeing how quickly this technology is evolving, fundamentally transforming our economies and our societies, including the military. Yet, scientists still do not know how to design AIs that will not harm people, that will always act according to our instructions, that will comply with human rights and human dignity. We don't know how to do that. In a recent study that just came out, OpenAI concluded that AI hallucinations are unavoidable with currently known designs. If we don't learn how to build trustworthy AI, humans are under threat from AI misuse by bad actors or through the misalignment of AI systems with societal norms and laws. Advances in AI will offer ways to tackle some of society's biggest challenges, yet they will also introduce major risks to international peace and security. Frontier AI systems will be extremely powerful if things continue according to the current trends. And misuse or careless use of this power by any individual, country, or company could create widespread disruption. I am currently chairing the International AI Safety Report, an international mandate following a resolution made by 30 countries, the EU, the OECD, and the UN. It is the first of its kind international report to set out an up-to-date, science-based understanding of the safety of advanced AI systems. It's being developed by more than 100 AI independent experts, and it's intended to provide a base of scientific evidence to inform policy. It identifies areas of scientific consensus as well as areas where there are different views or gaps in the current scientific understanding. I want to touch briefly today on the 3 risks outlined in the report that are particularly relevant to today's discussion. First, market and power concentration. AI models, which might be soon more capable or as capable as humans, could provide a strategic advantage on a global scale. This power could be used to create new powerful technologies and tip the balance in favor of a few companies, countries, or individuals, potentially enabling a disproportionate economic, political, or military concentration of power. Second, risks from malicious use. AI could also be used by malicious actors by lowering barriers to chemical and biological weapons development, facilitating cyber attacks, this is already happening, or helping design sophisticated persuasion and disinformation campaigns. And we see already AI capabilities in this respect improving fast. Third, the risk of misalignment and, at its extreme, the loss of human control to advanced AI. Again, we don't know currently how to reliably align and control the most advanced AIs, the ones that already exist. When they become more capable, this could have incredible consequences. Right now, this already causes serious issues, as we've seen with recent tragic incidents, for example, involving chatbots that are contributing to endangering individuals experiencing mental health crisis, or making it easier to create deepfakes that could be very consequential for individuals as well as societies. If the capabilities of AI models continue to increase and eventually beyond human levels without scientific guarantees that they are safe and aligned with our intentions, I believe we could reach a point where AI could operate irreversibly outside of anyone's control, putting humanity as a whole at risk. We need to plan for these possibilities, even if their probability is small. We must be careful to not cede our collective human and national sovereignty to companies or the models they deploy, so that we can take the right and wise decisions as we move forward. We must act now to mitigate all of these risks together. This is not a problem confined to a single nation's border, but one that threatens all of us. We must mobilize our best minds and make substantial investments to innovate on both fronts of science and governance. On the science and technical side, we need to significantly increase global research endeavors focused on safe and trustworthy AI. I've recently launched my own project called Law Zero, a nonprofit to work on scientist AI, which tries to build AI so that it will be safe by design and provide a guardrail that checks that other AIs will satisfy our safety specifications, will behave according to our instructions. But we need many more such projects. If we want to build effective global agreements on AI use, it is not sufficient to make these kinds of technical progress. We also need technical advances on verification technology, just like we did for nuclear, because countries may not trust each other. So if we want to have agreements, they need to be verifiable. And work is currently going on both on the software side and the hardware side to allow us to build trust with international partners. On this subject, I'd like to refer you to the UN brief from the Scientific Advisory Board of the Secretary General on this topic. So this was on the technical side. On the governance side, earlier this week, with 200 people, 200 experts, including former heads of state and Nobel laureates and recipients, we came together to support the establishment of international red lines to prevent unacceptable AI risks. Governments must have substantial visibility and control over these technological advances instead of letting very important decisions being taken behind closed doors. Transparency is the most important element that will increase public protection and the global interests. In addition, we need to innovate beyond the existing mechanisms of accountability and multilateral governance surrounding AI to make sure we achieve the three following goals. First, AI is developed safely by everyone on this planet. Second, AI is not abused to gain an unfair advantage over other nations or competitors. And three, we need to make sure that the benefits of AI are shared globally, for example, advances in medicine or the environment. If we develop and manage AI safely, it does offer extraordinary opportunities to improve human life and enhance our collective security, as we'll have the opportunity to discuss today. I'd like to end this with a few concluding thoughts that I have taken from the International AI Safety Report, stating the following. First, the future of general purpose AI, the most advanced or frontier AI, is uncertain. Many scenarios are possible. Second, both very positive and very negative outcomes are possible, which means we need to prepare for all the plausible scenarios, the positive ones and the negative ones. And much depends on how our societies and governments will act. AI does not happen to us. We, and particularly you, as decision makers, have the power to shape its trajectory so that it benefits the world. Thank you again for this opportunity. I look forward to discussing this important topic with you today. Thank you.
I thank Professor Bengio for his briefing. Thank you. I now give the floor to Professor Yejin Choi from Stanford University Institute for Human-Centered AI.
Thank you, Mr. President, and the Secretary General, and distinguished members of the Security Council. It is such a privilege to join you today. As someone who grew up in South Korea and has devoted my career to advancing artificial intelligence, it is deeply meaningful to contribute to this very dialogue under the presidency of the Republic of Korea and at such a pivotal moment of global importance. I have spent more than 2 decades as a computer scientist, seeking to understand how machines might interpret the world in ways more like us humans do. My work asks whether intelligence can be built in forms that are not just powerful, but genuinely reflective of humanity. We stand today at an extraordinary inflection point. AI dazzles us with achievements that only years ago seemed impossible. In particular, I am deeply motivated by how AI is accelerating scientific discovery, from advancing medicine to exploring the natural world, to expand the horizons of human knowledge. But this promise is accompanied by scientific limits and societal choices. Today, I want to talk about one of those choices: choosing intelligence that is not only powerful, but accessible, robust, and efficient. Because when only a few have the resources to build and benefit from AI, we really leave the rest of the world waiting at the door. So my message to you today is simple. Let us expand what intelligence can be, and let everyone, everywhere, have a role in building it. The new need for new scientific frontiers. Scientific history shows us that breakthroughs rarely come from staying in the same lane. At critical moments, new methods and new ways of thinking open entire fields. In AI, however, much of the energy and the investment has converged on one model of progress, which is scaling. In recent years, developers have sought to build AI systems using ever larger data sets and computing power. This approach has delivered impressive results, while also leading to a reality where the most advanced models are built by a mere handful of companies in just a few countries. This concentration in the hands of a few really narrows both our science and who gets to shape it. When most of the world lacks the resources to experiment at the frontier, we lose a diversity of perspectives from researchers, institutions, and societies that could lead to important discoveries and pivots. The task before us, then, is to expand the frontier, to cultivate space for alternative approaches, to encourage curiosity-driven science, and to support bold exploration. Science has historically leapt forward when we have taken risks and opened the door for more voices to contribute to discovery. We can and must pursue alternative approaches to AI development that are more adaptive, more resilient, and broadly accessible to the global community. Striving for global access and representation in AI. Okay, so what might those alternatives paths mean in practice? Expanding the frontier is not only about new scientific methods for achieving intelligence. It is also about how we choose to think about access. Who can build advanced AI systems? To whom are they accessible? Whose voices do they include? And whose values do they reflect? If AI is to truly benefit humanity, global access must be the North Star. That means pushing the frontier along two dimensions. The first dimension is to build AI that is smaller. If we really want to democratize AI, we must rethink how our dependence on massive scale data and computing resources from the outset, and design methods that can do more with less. For example, systems that can learn with far less data, adapt through interaction, and recognize what they do not know. Children gain common sense not by reading endless words on the internet, but by observing the world around them. How can we design AI systems that learn in the same spirit? Models that achieve strong performance while lowering the barriers to entry would open the frontiers to researchers, institutions, and governments worldwide. The second dimension is to ensuring AI systems represent and serve all communities. We should recenter what truly matters to humanity: linguistic diversity, cultural breadth, and the pluralistic values. Today's leading AI models underperform for many non-English languages and reflect narrow cultural assumptions. These flaws lead to the systematic exclusion of entire communities from AI's benefits, and they cannot be cured simply by patching gaps after the fact. What's required is to rethink the foundations, the training data, learning objectives, and evaluation methods, so that systems are built from the start to be robust across languages, context, and perspectives. Accomplishing this will rest on answers to open research questions across disciplines. What does meaningful linguistic fluency in AI look like? How do we measure value alignment across societies? Who must be at the table when decisions are made? These are only some of the questions we must address through interdisciplinary, cross-cultural collaboration. Every country and community has unique expertise to contribute, expertise that is indispensable when building AI systems that truly serve the world. So here's a call for bold and collective investment. I want to leave you today with 3 considerations for how all of us can begin to make inroads on these issues. First, invest in high-risk, high-reward science. Because market-driven forces tend to favor short-term, profit-driven research and development, governments and international bodies must fund bold experiments that look uncertain today, but promise to open new frontiers tomorrow. Second, build shared public AI infrastructure. We need open, multilingual, and multimodal data sets, rigorous benchmarks that test for cultural pluralism and real-world applications, and shared compute resources for academic institutions and nations otherwise left out. These are not just nice-to-haves. These are essential foundations to expand the talent and ideas that drive discovery. Third, prioritize capacity building, fellowships and exchanges that connect researchers across borders, advanced training programs that equip the next generation with cutting-edge skills, and collaborative institutes that sustain long-term partnerships are all crucial. Innovation can emerge from many paths, and the next breakthrough may come from where we least expected it. There's still so much we can and must do to achieve more global access and representation in AI. Progress on these fronts will not be easy. It demands our willingness to take paths less traveled and to set aside narrow competition in favor of collaborating for the common good. Thank you again, Mr. President, and the Secretary General and distinguished members of the Security Council for the privilege of speaking to you today.
I thank Professor Choi for her briefing. I shall now make a statement in my capacity as President of the Republic of Korea. Let me thank Secretary General Guterres, Professor Bengio, and Professor Choi for their insightful briefings. As I listened, I was reminded of the words of Professor Jeffrey Hinton, who once said that today's AI is like a very cute tiger cub. This tiger cub before us may well grow into a predator that devours us, or it may become a beloved companion like Derpy from K-pop Demon Hunters. A knife in the hands of a chef is a tool that brings joy to others. But the same knife in the hands of a robber is nothing more than a menacing weapon to cause harm. AI in particular will bring the most disruptive innovation to the way we process knowledge and information. And it may soon be able to judge and decide for itself like a human being. Therefore, an entirely different future will unfold before us, depending on how wisely we choose to wield this tool called AI. If used well, AI can help us overcome daunting challenges like low growth and high prices, opening a new path to prosperity. It could also provide solutions to various problems in fields such as health, food, and education. But if we are dragged along by the changes without being prepared for them, the extreme technological divide may function as a silicon curtain that surpasses even the Iron Curtain, aggravating global inequality and imbalance. To turn the changes of the AI era, where light and shadow coexist, into opportunities, it is essential for the international community to unite and uphold the principle of responsible use of AI. If, as many experts warn, AI threatens humanity and leads to its downfall, that would probably be because we fail to establish common global norms befitting such a monumental transformation. In an era where AI capability is emerging as a key determining factor of national power, both in economic and security terms, it is neither possible nor realistic to attempt to reverse technological progress like the Luddites. The only viable and wise choice would be to compete for national interest, while cooperating for the benefit of humankind at the same time. Governments, academia, industry, and civil society must come together and draw on collective wisdom to bring innovation toward AI for all, an inclusive and human-centric AI. The role and responsibility of the Security Council is ever more important. In the field of international peace and security, upon which the lives and safety of countless people depend, AI holds both unlimited potential benefit as well as risks. From intelligence and surveillance to logistics and military planning, AI is strengthening accuracy and precision across the military domain while leading innovation in operational efficiency and command systems. If used well, AI could be a powerful instrument for preventing conflict and maintaining peace, such as by monitoring the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. It could also contribute to promotional international peace and security by ensuring the swift delivery of humanitarian assistance to those in need.
However, if this formidable tool were to escape human control, we would not be able to avoid a dystopian future of rampant mis- and disinformation and surging terrorism and cyber attacks. Instability in security may also deepen due to an AI-driven arms race. The Security Council has actively responded to evolving threats from terrorism and cyber attacks to pandemics, while guiding the international community with vision and leadership. Now in the AI era, the Council must once again assess the changing security landscape and seek new collective responses. The Republic of Korea, as a responsible global power, is committed to leading international cooperation to ensure that AI becomes a tool for building a sustainable future for humanities. Already last year, together with the Netherlands, the Republic of Korea tabled the first ever UN General Assembly resolution on AI in the military domain and hosted the Responsible Military Use of AI ReAIM Summit in Seoul. Furthermore, the Republic of Korea supported the UN's efforts to combat mis- and disinformation against peacekeepers and tabled a resolution on emerging technologies and human rights as a member of the Human Rights Council. At the AI Seoul Summit held in May 2024, we adopted the Seoul Declaration, which outlined 3 guiding visions: safety, innovation, and inclusion. As the chair of APEC, the Republic of Korea is promoting the adoption of the APEC AI initiative to ensure that AI innovation contributes to the prosperity of humanity. Through such efforts, the Republic of Korea is striving to establish an AI universal basic society where everyone benefits from technological advancements and the principle of AI for all as the new normal of the new era. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, standing before the civilized transformation that AI will bring about, humanity is passing through a critical inflection point where it must safeguard the universal values it has upheld throughout the long history. Human civilization has always responded to new challenges, and because we never lost hope of advancing towards a better world, even in the face of despair, we have been able to achieve the progress we see today. The shining history of the United Nations, which has constantly sought the path of world peace and shared prosperity amid times of crisis, holds the answer. Let us not shy away from the new historical mission entrusted to us. Let us turn the changes brought by AI into a springboard for humanity to make a renewed leap forward. Thank you for your attention.
I resume my function as President of the Council. I now give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Hassan Sheikh Mohamud, President of Somalia.
Thank you, Mr. President. Allow me to begin by expressing our appreciation to the Republic of Korea for convening in this important debate and for its leadership in building a shared vision on artificial intelligence's role in international peace and security. We are also grateful to the Secretary General for his insight, remarks, and to all the briefers for their contribution to this discussion. Artificial intelligence is no longer a distant prospect. It is already rapidly transforming societies, economies, and our approach to peace and security as well. It brings both remarkable promise and profound risk, as experts presented here. With responsible governance, its ability to revolutionize early warning, crisis prevention, and humanitarian response is undeniable. Yet, as its capabilities spread often unevenly, the risk of misuse grows, potentially creating new avenues for instability. Therefore, it's our collective responsibility to ensure AI advances international peace and security and to guide its use for the benefit of all. To this end, I would like to propose the following 3 core priorities. First,
we must establish clear global standards for the responsible use of AI. AI must operate within a framework of international law and respect for human rights and human dignity. The Security Council should champion efforts to develop comprehensive guidelines that ensure AI is used ethically and transparently across all peacekeeping and security operations globally. These standards should address issues such as algorithm bias, privacy, and the protection of vulnerable groups. Establishing these principles will require the active participation of all member states and regional organizations, ensuring that diverse perspectives are reflected and that frameworks are adaptable to different contexts. Second, we must ensure equitable access to AI and prevent new forms of technological dependency syndrome. The benefits of AI must not be confined to a privileged few or concentrated in certain regions. Too often, technological advancements and control over data are held outside the communities most affected, perpetuating imbalances in power and opportunities. This risk of digital colonialism, particularly in Africa, can only be addressed through international partnership with regional organizations such as the African Union and by supporting strategies like Africa's Pan-African AI Initiative, which prioritize data sovereignty, digital literacy, and homegrown innovations. It's essential to promote inclusive access and support regional leadership to help ensure AI is a tool for collective advancement rather than a source of further division. Third, we must proactively address the unique risk AI poses to peace and security and the livelihoods of the societies. AI's misuse, whether through autonomous weapons, disinformation campaigns, or interferences in fragile peace processes, poses significant threat to stability. These risks demand constant vigilance and proactive measures. The Security Council should support regular monitoring and assessment of emerging AI threats, facilitate the sharing of best practices, and invest in early warning systems. Close collaboration with civil society and regional actors is essential, as local knowledge and networks can help identify signs of destabilization before they escalate. Moreover, the Council should encourage the development of accountability mechanisms to ensure that those who misuse AI are held responsible and accountable. In conclusion, Mr. President, the era of artificial intelligence is not a distant prospect but our current reality. The future we shape with these tools depends on our commitment to cooperation, ethical leadership, and global solidarity. We are presented with a defining opportunity to guide this historic transition responsibly so that technological progress serves as a bridge to peace and shared prosperity, not an instrument of division. The power of artificial intelligence is not inevitable in its outcome. It is shaped, guided, and given meaning by our values and our choices. Somalia is committed to acting with foresight and resolve together so that future generations will look back on this moment. We must unite as nations to guide technological progress for the good of all while protecting peace, upholding dignity, and broadening the horizons of human possibility. I thank you.
네.
I thank His Excellency Mr. Mohammed for his statement. I now give the floor to Her Excellency Ms. Natasha Pirc-Musar, President of Slovenia.
Thank you, Mr. President, and let me begin by extending our gratitude to the Republic of Korea for convening today's open debate. I would also like to welcome and thank the Secretary General, as well as Mr. Bengio and Mrs. Choi. Mr. President, in my previous life, I was a lawyer dealing with human rights. Especially, I was connected to data protection, so heavily involved in the development of modern technologies, and this is why this topic is very, very close to my heart. And I've learned something regarding artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is neither artificial nor intelligent. It's not artificial because it only possesses the knowledge that we gained through the centuries. And it's not intelligent because it hallucinates all the time. And if artificial intelligence is going to hallucinate in automotive weapons connected to AI, then nothing good will happen at the end. Mr. President, since my last visit to the Security Council 2 years ago, the world has witnessed the growing digitalizations of warfare. Contemporary conflicts from Gaza, Sudan, and Ukraine have become testing grounds for the military use of new technologies. Soldiers on the ground can commit terrible acts against others. Some may develop a guilty conscience over the years. Some former combatants even apologize to those they harmed. Algorithms, armed drones, and robots created by humans, however, have no conscience. We cannot appeal to their mercy or beg them to spare their loved ones. This is the world in which technology is increasingly determining humanity's fate. One must agree with the Secretary General that artificial intelligence represents both an existential threat and one of the greatest opportunities of our generation. One might even add that AI can also pose a risk to our daily lives. As with many things, excess never does any good. Just as an excessive use of social media can create dependency, excessive reliance on AI calls into question of our own intellect, our capacity to think, and our ability to make independent decisions. It is like our muscles. If we don't exercise them regularly, they atrophy. On the other hand, there are countless tasks that AI can perform more accurately and efficiently. Its solutions are based on quantities of data far beyond human capacity to process. In supporting UN peace operations, AI can assist with multilingual translation, summarizing field reports, planning routes and optimizing logistics, as well as consolidating overlapping or fragmented information into a coherent picture. For conflict prevention, AI can be harnessed positively to identify food insecurity and predict displacement caused by extreme events and climate change. Mr. President, we acknowledge and welcome the important discussions taking place within the United Nations on the use of lethal autonomous weapon systems and on AI in the military domain. We thank the Republic of Korea for its leadership on the latter. As an expert has warned, the three biggest risks involved in the development of AI-powered weapons are, first, these weapons may make it easier for countries to become involved in conflicts. Second, non-military scientific AI research may be censored or co-opted to support the development of such weapons. And third, militaries may use AI-powered autonomous technology to reduce or deflect human responsibility in decision-making. From the perspective of the UN, the cornerstone of the system of collective security, AI has already become a reality with a visible impact not only on peace and security, but also on its other two pillars, human rights and development. It has not only entered the battlefield. The AI can be misused in so many ways. through AI-accelerated cyber attacks, its proliferation in terrorism and organized crime, or its environmental impact. This further exacerbates threats to international peace and security. Therefore, Mr. President, this debate is timely. The far-reaching impact on AI on international peace and security, by its very nature, requires action by the Security Council, which bears the primary responsibility under the UN Charter for the maintenance of international peace and security. The Security Council must be prepared to respond to the impact of AI on global peace. I trust that today's meeting is just one of many activities in the Security Council and the United Nations system to discuss the presence of AI in international relations. To this end, Slovenia calls for regular briefings by the Secretary-General to the Security Council on developments in the field of artificial intelligence that affect international peace and security, so that the relevant risks can be recognized, understood, and, above all, addressed. We further call for the inclusion of discussions on AI-related risks on the Security Council agenda to ensure the protection of civilians, humanitarian aid and UN personnel, as well as the effective implementation of mandates for peace operations. We are also willing to consider concrete actions by the Security Council, including recognizing that decision-making on AI must be guided by international law, in particular international humanitarian law and international human rights law, as well as ethical principles to ensure its responsible use in maintaining and promoting international peace and security. To conclude, Mr. President, while we address the risks of AI, it is crucial to remember that behind every algorithm and every automated decision stands a human being who wrote the code. This simple fact underscores the central principles of human responsibility and accountability, principles that must remain at the heart of both our national approaches and our multilateral efforts. And just to say one more sentence, Professor said that transparency is of significant importance. Without transparency of algorithms, the supervisions of AI systems is not going to be possible. And you mentioned, Professor, also the trust among countries. We are facing the lack of trust today, not only in politics, in business, and also in modern digital world. The lack of trust is an obstacle. And if it's going to be an obstacle, at the end, the lack of trust and obstacles are going to be so big that we will all lose. So let this be my final word, and thank you for inviting me here to the Security Council, and I wish you all the best in the future work, Mr. President. Thank you.
I thank Her Excellency President Perkmazar for her statement. And now I give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Kyriakos Mitsotakis, Prime Minister of Greece.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wish to begin by congratulating the Republic of Korea for convening this important meeting of the Security Council on artificial intelligence and international peace and security. Also thank the two professors for their very insightful introductory remarks. Today's debate builds on the area formula meeting that Greece co-organized last April with France, with the Republic of Korea, offering us the opportunity to further reflect on a topic that will undoubtedly shape our discussions for years to come. There is now, I think, a broad consensus on the close interplay between artificial intelligence and the maintenance of international peace and security. And the two RE-AIM summits in The Hague in 2023, in Seoul in 2024, the political declaration on responsible military use of artificial intelligence and autonomy launched by the United States, and the AI Action Summit in Paris earlier this year have all contributed to developing norms, rules, and guidelines for the responsible development, deployment, and use of AI, including, of course, in the very sensitive military domain. AI is not just another tool, it's a general purpose capability with the potential to both empower and destabilize. In the right hands, it can strengthen peacekeeping, it can improve early warning systems, it can accelerate humanitarian relief, just to offer a few examples. In the wrong hands, it can fuel disinformation, it can amplify cyber attacks, it can certainly lower the threshold for escalation and conflict. AI is by nature a dual-use technology, and it means that our collective security increasingly depends on the choices we make. Mr. President, our discussion today is particularly timely as it comes just weeks after the release of the Secretary General's first report on artificial intelligence in the military domain and its implications for international peace and security. This was, I think, a milestone in our collective effort to address the profound implications of AI on peace and security. And building on this crucial momentum, we must recognize a fundamental truth that for our rules-based international order to remain relevant, it must adapt. Just as past institutions, generations build new institutions to govern nuclear energy, but also nuclear weapons and arms control, so too we now must develop new mechanisms to ensure that AI innovation reinforces not just peace and security, but also human dignity. And this, of course, requires international cooperation, transparency, and a renewed commitment to the principles of the UN Charter. At the same time, we must be candid. Preserving peace does not mean ignoring the realities of power. Malign actors are racing ahead in developing AI capabilities. And if we are to protect our citizens, uphold deterrence, and maintain stability, we too must responsibly invest in defensive security applications of AI, but always in line with international law and always with a commitment to human oversight. So this is not a call for a new arms race, but a recognition that peace is hard-won. It's harder to safeguard and hardest of all to preserve. Ladies and gentlemen, we stand at an inflection point. The choices we make on artificial intelligence will not only redefine the balance of power, but also determine whether technology becomes a force for human progress or a drive of human peril. And the Security Council itself must rise to the occasion, just as it once rose to meet the challenges of nuclear weapons, the challenges of peacekeeping, so too now it must rise to govern the age of AI. And Greece believes the United Nations carries a historic responsibility to charter a path where innovation strengthens peace, where responsibility tempers power, and where technology serves humanity's highest aspirations. And let's make sure that artificial intelligence becomes not a source of rivalry and division, but a cornerstone of a more secure, more just, and more peaceful world. Thank you.
I thank His Excellency Mr. Mitsotakis for his statement. I now give the floor to His Excellency Mr. David Lammy, MP, Deputy Prime Minister of the UK.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, and thank you to the leadership of the Republic of Korea. Friends, colleagues, there is an urgency to this debate. It was 2 years ago that the United Kingdom first brought artificial intelligence to this council. And since that time, its capabilities have grown exponentially. This is a lightning strike of change. Every one of us, diplomat, peace builder, terrorist, now carries superhuman expertise in our smartphones, better at maths, better at translation, better at diagnosis than almost any human expert. And now superintelligence is on the horizon, able to operate, coordinate and act on our behalf. We're staring at a technological frontier of astounding promise and power. No aspect of life war or peace will escape. Deep AI analysis of situational data holds this promise for peacekeeping: ultra-accurate real-time logistics, ultra-accurate real-time sentiment analysis, ultra-early warning systems. But there are also these challenges for armed conflict: ultra-novel chemical and biological weapons, ultra-accessible to malign actors, and ultra-rampant distortion and disinformation. And of course, this is what is at stake for our shared security: the risk of miscalculation, the risk of unintended escalation, and the arrival of artificial intelligence-powered chatbots stirring conflict. The risk of deeper instability is immense. And this is why I so welcome the Secretary-General's report on military AI. This is an opportunity for collective understanding, for us to build new safeguards and guardrails, and reaffirm international law as the bedrock of responsible use. We all know that artificial intelligence use is growing, of course, exponentially, offering us both extraordinary promise and intense challenges. Nowhere is this clearer than in climate. On current trends, artificial intelligence could add the equivalent of a new Japan to world electricity consumption. Yet it also promises to utterly transform efficiency and power our green transitions, fine-tuning electrical production to the minute to meet demand and eliminating astonishing levels of waste. This is the power of AI. We are crossing humanity's most profound technological frontier. Our lives, our world, our politics are about to be flooded with super powerful AI. There is only one way forward: resilience. Learning how to use these tools and embedding them safely in society. This is the United Kingdom's mission through our AI Security Institute, with more dedicated researchers than anywhere else in the world, and through the International AI Safety Report, with its secretariat based in the UK. Under the chairmanship of Yoshua Bengio, one of our briefers today, the United Kingdom is committed to using AI responsibly, safely, legally and ethically, and together here at the United Nations. We must ensure AI strengthens peace and security. I believe that it can, and if we act together, we can get there. Thank you very much.
I thank Excellency Mr. Lamy for his statement. I now give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Ahmed Attaf, Minister of State, Minister of Foreign Affairs, National Community Abroad, and African Affairs of Algeria.
Shukran.
Thank you, Mr. President. Allow me to express my deepest appreciation to you for organizing this open debate. Allow me also to express my deepest thanks to His Excellency, the Secretary General, and the august experts that are present with us today. I thank them for their valuable briefings on artificial intelligence and its impact on international peace and security. Algeria values holding this session because it reflects a growing international awareness of the need for these modern technologies as an influential factor with multiple and complex dimensions at the same time. Artificial intelligence is no longer a technical tool. It is rather an essential geostrategic factor in reshaping the balance of powers on the international arena. Artificial intelligence is no longer a mere promising project for humanity. It rather poses a number of legal and moral challenges, even security challenges that affect the sovereignty and social cohesion of states. Artificial intelligence has undoubtedly become a double-edged sword for peace and security. It is a constructive weapon that contributes to building capacities and promoting sustainable development, and a destructive weapon at the same time because it is being misused to jeopardize peace and stability and threaten collective security. The success of the global dialogue on AI governance cannot achieve its noble purposes if it does not address the following three concerns. One, the sovereignty concern, which is closely linked to the need to respect the principles of the United Nations Charter in order to maintain the sovereignty and territorial integrity of states. We believe that the United Nations Convention against Cybercrime, which Algeria led the negotiations for its adoption, so this convention could be a legal basis to promote the sovereignty of states over their data and ensure their protection against cyber attacks. Two, the security concern, which is linked to the need to develop clear rules on the use of artificial intelligence in the military and security domains to curb the new arms race, which knows no controls, and to ensure that innovative arms remain out of the hands of non-state armed groups, as well as to ensure that the decision on the use of lethal force is strictly taken by a human in any innovation that depends on artificial intelligence technologies. The third and last concern is purely related to development. It is related to the need to ensure equal opportunities among states in the access to artificial intelligence technologies to prevent the deepening of the development and digital divides between the North and the South. What is certain is that developing states are facing tremendous challenges in keeping up with the current digital revolution. With regards to our continent, Africa, these challenges could be summed up in the three key points. One, the internet coverage in the continent remains inadequate. It is at 38% at a time when the global average exceeds 68%. Two, only 10 states out of the 55 members of the African Union have adopted the necessary information technology regulations. Ten out of 55. This reflects the weakness of our legislative and regulatory frameworks in most African states. Three, the African continent is home to 18% of the world's population. However, it only has 1% of the total global capacities to store and process data. This poses the challenge of digital sovereignty on the African continent, or for the African continent. These challenges are not unsolvable dilemmas. On the contrary, They are shortcomings that can be transformed through serious work into genuine opportunities to address the delay in our continent. The main priority should focus on promoting investments in digital infrastructure and building capacities and developing legislations and regulations on digital governance. On its part, my country continues to implement its national strategy on digital transformation. We are fully committed to contributing as much as we can to alleviating the challenges facing the African continent in this regard. Our continent is fully aware of the challenges and stakes of digital and technological revolutions facing our world today. Africa is making every effort not to be left behind in these revolutions and not to miss out on them like it missed out on the Industrial Revolution and the Information Revolution because of colonization and its repercussions. Africa is working responsibly and diligently to build successful and beneficial international partnerships to keep up with the current revolutions and to contribute to shaping these revolutions and their governance. However, Africa strongly rejects being transformed into a lab rat to test these technologies and their use, especially in the military and security domains. We stand ready to avoid the mistakes of the past, whose repercussions cost the continent a lot. Thank you, Mr. President.
I thank His Excellency Mr. Attaf for his statement. I now give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Hugh Hilton Todd, Minister for Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of Guyana.
Thank you, Mr. President. Excellency, thank you for convening this open debate to discuss the complexities and impacts of artificial intelligence, AI, and to underscore the need for its responsible use in the context of international peace and security. I also thank His Excellency Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of the United Nations, and the briefers for their presentations. Mr. President, the advent of artificial intelligence presents several opportunities for international peace and security, including for conflict prevention, peace building, disaster prediction and response, as well as cybersecurity, among others. The misuse of AI can also present many challenges for international peace efforts, including through cyber warfare, exploitation of weapons of mass destruction, privacy infringements, and the proliferation of automated weapons. Maximizing the opportunities and minimizing the risks of the use of AI should continue to be at the forefront of our discussions. In Guyana, we have been preparing ourselves to seize these opportunities. We are integrating AI through our digital transformation strategy and are also actively involved in the development of a regional AI policy roadmap with the support of the Caribbean AI Task Force. This is to ensure that the countries of the Caribbean are not only prepared for the global AI revolution, but are actively involved in shaping its direction in alignment with our priorities, values, and development goals. Mr. President, the conversations on AI governance are complex. In examining the complexities and promoting the responsible use of AI, I offer the following points. First, harnessing AI to advance peace and security requires a structured approach that involves robust regulation in line with international law. The use of AI must be grounded in inclusive and equitable international standards to strengthen global cooperation and regulate its military use, among other areas. The recent decision by the General Assembly to establish 2 global AI governance mechanisms is a positive step in this direction. These are good entry points for the Security Council to contribute to efforts aimed at utilizing AI tools in peace and security. So, inter alia, identifying signs of possible conflict, monitoring mis- and disinformation, risk assessment in peacekeeping operations, and respond to cyber attacks against critical infrastructure. We also stress the use of AI tools in addressing global challenges such as climate change and food insecurity, which often exacerbate conflicts. States should also consider ways in which AI could be harnessed for national security as a direct contribution to global peace and stability. For its part, Guyana is developing a framework for AI digitization focused on AI governance, cybersecurity, and data ethics. This is fundamental for socio-economic development, which itself is a necessary corollary for peace and stability. Second, the misuse of AI poses a threat to international peace and security. In the current global context, geopolitical context, there has been increased use of AI systems, including by non-state actors, for illegal purposes. These include cyber attacks against critical infrastructure and creating fear by spreading misinformation. Autonomous weapon systems, in particular, are accessible, inexpensive, and easy to produce, making it easier for non-state actors to exploit and use them for violent purposes and to carry out disinformation campaigns in conflict areas. The Security Council, therefore, has a responsibility to ensure the responsible use of AI. Third, AI has been used by parties to evade obligations established by the Security Council, a trend that is becoming worrisome. It has been used to circumvent sanctions, increase tensions, and reduce the chances of securing ceasefire agreements. To counter these threats, the Security Council can utilize AI tools for the implementation of its resolutions. With its predictive analytical features, AI can help improve implementation of the sanctions by detecting whether they are being evaded or violated, monitor compliance with resolutions, counter mis- and disinformation that could undermine peace efforts, and track ceasefire violations. Fourth, while noting the destructive use of AI in conflicts, we acknowledge that its responsible use can be helpful in peace-building efforts and in peace-building operations. Integrating AI considerations and ethics into peacekeeping mandates will ensure the use of AI tools in peacekeeping operations are transparent, responsible, and accountable. The promotion of AI capacity building for peacekeepers would also enable the missions to be effectively equipped to track AI-driven threats, including those targeting critical infrastructure and civilians. Mr. President, in conclusion, briefings such as this one are useful in advancing the discussions on understanding the benefits and risks of the use of AI in advancing global peace and security. To this end, the Council should work proactively towards mitigating the risks to advance international peace and security and to ensure a more safe and secure world for all. I thank you.
I thank His Excellency Mr. Todd for his statement. I now give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Xavier Martinez Acha Vasquez, Minister for Foreign Affairs of Panama.
Gracias.
Thank you, President. Excellencies. Panama congratulates the Republic of Korea for convening this meeting. We greet His Excellency Mr. Lee Jae-myung and thank the Secretary-General of the United Nations for his important contribution to this debate. We also would like to thank the briefers for their valuable statements with regard to one of the most disruptive challenges facing the collective security system in the 21st century, namely the development of artificial intelligence. This is a technology that must continue to grow and evolve for the common good of all humanity. And in this sense, we have the responsibility to ensure that artificial intelligence becomes a tool that contributes to peace, human development, equity, and responsible and legally coherent innovation. Panama welcomes the General Assembly resolution establishing the International Scientific Panel on Artificial Intelligence and the global dialogue on its governance. And we recognize the leadership of Costa Rica and Spain in facilitating this process in a spirit of inclusion, balance, and forward-looking vision. These platforms represent a concrete step to ensure that decision-making when it comes to technological governance is guided by evidence, by participation, and shared responsibility. What we urgently need is an international regulatory framework for the development and deployment of artificial intelligence with the goal of ensuring transparency, equal access, and effective regulation. This framework should be guided by international law and based on principles such as transparency, system traceability, effective human control, non-discrimination, and protection against misuse of this technology. Companies that develop and operate large-scale artificial intelligence models also bear great global responsibility. The private development of these technologies cannot continue to escape public scrutiny. The lack of regulation in this area cannot be ignored. It represents a systemic risk that we must address collectively from an inclusive and open perspective. In line with this multilateral approach, Panama is developing its national artificial intelligence strategy based on principles of responsible use, participatory governance, and protection of rights. This strategy aims not only to strengthen our technical capacities, but also to apply artificial intelligence in critical sectors such as logistics, health, and finance, areas where Panama not only has undeniable strengths, but also the potential to contribute to advancing solutions that benefit both the region and the world. We are committed to promoting public policies that reduce technological gaps and strengthen citizens' trust. Mr. President, artificial intelligence is also being used to spread disinformation, manipulate narratives, and polarize societies. It has been used to create false content, undermining public trust, especially in fragile or conflict settings. This represents a direct threat to international peace and security. This technology is also being used by extremist groups in order to radicalize, recruit, and finance themselves. Digital platforms and video games have been exploited to identify vulnerable profiles and spread hate propaganda in an automated and dangerous way. This threat is linked to the proliferation of cyber attacks, organized crime, and the mass manipulation of personal data. This problem requires a robust legal architecture that combines prevention, international cooperation, and institutional transparency. The Security Council must promote international standards that ensure positive human progress and independent auditing of artificial intelligence systems. You can count on Panama to help ensure that today's challenges lead to responsible decisions tomorrow. Mr. President, in the military field, Panama reaffirms its adherence to the political declaration on the responsible use of artificial intelligence and autonomy in the military domain adopted in Seoul in 2024. We reaffirm that any application of artificial intelligence in defense contexts must respect the principles of international humanitarian law and the international human rights framework, as well as the principles established in the UN Charter. We reject the development and use of autonomous systems that make lethal decisions without effective human intervention. Human oversight must be ensured at all critical stages. Failing to do so would mean delegating legal and moral responsibility to a machine. Artificial intelligence is not only about how we train machines, but also about how we decide to govern them. If we do not act now, the regulatory gaps will be filled by those who prioritize control over equity, profit over justice, and power over peace. Panama is convinced with a humanist spirit that artificial intelligence is one of the greatest challenges and opportunities of our times. Artificial intelligence can be an engine for progress, social justice, and global cooperation, or a great risk for exclusion, inequality, and conflict. For Panama, the fundamental value here is clear. Artificial intelligence must be in the service of human beings and never be above human beings. Dignity and human rights and peace are what must guide any development of artificial intelligence. This can never be used as a weapon to manipulate or control, or as a weapon of violence, but to help alleviate suffering, improve education, strengthen health systems, and protect our planet, always in peace. This Security Council was not created to passively observe the changes of the world. It was created to give them direction. Panama believes that leadership in artificial intelligence is not measured by the amount of data that one possesses, but by the collective will to put this technology in the service of humanity. Thank you very much.
I thank His Excellency Mr. Acha Vasquez for his statement. I now give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Timothy Musa Kappa, Minister for Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of Sierra Leone.
Mr. President, let me at the outset welcome you, Excellency Mr. Lee Jae-myung, President of the Republic of Korea, to the Security Council. And I thank you and the Republic of Korea for convening this important and timely discussion on artificial intelligence and international peace and security. Mr. President, Africa has always been in the docks of despair and suffering at the wake of every critical invention. Whether it was the advent of naval technology, which saw the bundling of Africans from the African continent to different parts of the world into slavery, to the invention of the gunpowder that decimated Africans in the 19th and 20th century. Therefore, Mr. President, this topic is not only important to us as Africans, but it's quite visceral. On that note, let me thank Mr. Antonio Guterres, the Secretary General of the United Nations, and the two briefers for their insightful briefings. According to the Brookings Institute, the term artificial intelligence refers to machines that respond to stimulation consistent with traditional responses from humans, giving the human capacity for contemplation, judgment, and intention. AI thus has the ability to understand language, plan, recognize objects and sounds, learn, and solve problems. This attribution of human-like capabilities to artificial intelligence is what makes it both promising and alarming, specifically for international peace and security. According to the Secretary General, in his most recent report of 2nd July 2025 on innovative voluntary financing options for artificial intelligence capacity building, AI is a foundational general-purpose technology that will shape economic outcomes, societal well-being, and global equity for decades to come. Indeed, AI holds outstanding potential for supporting inclusivity and reducing inequalities in advancement of sustainable development and in addressing causes of conflict rooted in delayed development, and conversely, by the same token, the risk of further widening the gap between developing and developed nations and further exacerbating the root causes of conflict. Mr. President, in 2023, 120 member states co-sponsored and all 193 member states of the United Nations joined consensus and adopted the first General Assembly resolution, setting out a common framework for safe, secure, trustworthy AI. The resolution recognizes the positive impact of AI on economic, social, and environmental aspects and the tremendous potential for AI to help accelerate progress toward the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals, and also the imperative of ensuring that AI systems are designed, tested, and deployed in a manner consistent with the UN Charter and Universal Declaration on Human Rights. The resolution emphasizes that AI should not be used to undermine peace or repress human rights. Additionally, the UN Global Digital Compact that was adopted last year holds much promise for the acceleration of the implementation of the relevant aspirations of the African Union Agenda 2063 and the Sustainable Development Goals through technological innovation. In June 2024, African nations adopted the landmark Continental Artificial Intelligence Strategy and African Digital Compact. This strategy envisions the establishment of strong research institutions that will promote our development models and broaden investment in African youth to generate specialized capabilities in the fields of technology and position Africa in the global AI landscape. Nonetheless, there are serious political, legal, ethical considerations raised by artificial intelligence, as well as peace and security concerns, especially for conflict-prone areas. Generative AI embedded in lethal autonomous weapons and robotic systems, in nuclear command and control, in military applications, and beyond weapon systems, pose significant threats to peace and security in the absence of the embodiment of sufficient human agency in the process. For this reason, Sierra Leone affirms the African Union's position that artificial intelligence must be governed by frameworks that are open, inclusive, equitable, and trustworthy. The African Union's Continental Artificial Intelligence Strategy and the African Digital Compact adopted in 2024 are timely and visionary. They emphasize responsible AI development aligned with regional needs and ethical imperatives. At the AU's 1266 Peace and Security Council meeting held on 19th March 2025, African member states reiterated the need for multilateral action to ensure AI promotes peace, security, and sustainable development on the continent. Since the majority of AI creation and regulation development is presently concentrated within a few countries, it will be necessary to construct a global governance framework to limit the adverse consequences of a few countries and private companies wielding such immense power over the rest of the world. At the national level, Sierra Leone has taken proactive steps. We are a party to the Malabo Convention on Cybersecurity and Personal Data Protection, and we have developed a national cybersecurity strategy that aligns with regional and global digital governance norms. This strategy emphasizes ensuring digital technologies such as AI not to become tools of exploitation or instability. We are also in the process of developing a national artificial intelligence framework with a focus on ethics, inclusion, and peace-oriented innovation. This framework aims to strengthen national institutions' capacity to understand, govern, and responsibly deploy artificial intelligence. Mr. President, to address the complexities, multifaceted impact, and responsible use of AI, especially in peace and security domain, we must prioritize prevention uses, that is, deploying AI for early warning, conflict analysis, climate resilience, and humanitarian response, particularly in regions of acute vulnerability. Let me therefore emphasize that the Security Council has a critical role in ensuring responsible application of AI in the context of maintaining international peace and security. The Council can encourage best practices in peace operations, promote safeguards to retain human agency in military uses, and ensure compliance with international law and international humanitarian law. Furthermore, the unregulated weaponization of AI, its diversion to non-state actors, and the destabilizing effect of AI-driven disinformation must be addressed through global accountability frameworks and rapid response mechanisms. The Security Council does complement wider UN effort, promoting coherence with the General Assembly, the Global Digital Compact, and regional frameworks such as the African Continental AI Strategy. In light of the foregoing, let me share 4 key recommendations. First, in line with the interdisciplinary and multi-stakeholder approach of the Global Digital Compact and the Pact for the Future, we encourage international organizations to deepen engagement with governments, peace builders, civil society, academia, and the private sector to co-design AI systems that are tailored to promoting peace, development, and resilience, especially in post-conflict settings. Second, there is a need to establish global norms and principles that hold both state and non-state actors accountable for deploying or developing AI systems with foreseeable risk of undermining peace, fueling conflict, or violating international law. This must include outright prohibition of use of tools integrating generative AI against civilians and civilian infrastructure, safeguards against militarization of AI, accountability for misuse, and rapid response to establish misuse and the retention of human agency in the use of AI in the military domain. Third, we are concerned that much of AI development and regulation remains concentrated in a small number of countries and private entities. We call on the United Nations to lead in shaping an inclusive and equitable governance architecture that addresses this imbalance. Measures must be taken to avoid entrenched digital inequality, algorithmic biases, and the concentration of AI capabilities in ways that exclude countries in the global south. The Pact for the Future rightly emphasizes capacity building, technology transfer, and equitable access as prerequisite for shared digital progress. Investing in AI literacy, digital skills, and ethical innovation ecosystems in developing countries is essential for promoting asymmetries that could widen geopolitical and digital divides. In this context, there is a need for upgrade in national cybersecurity capabilities and strategies in line with the impending risk posed by AI solution, while continually assessing AI's contributions in modern warfare. Finally, despite the rapid uptake of AI technologies in various sectors, there is a clear lack of empirical data on the extent and impact of AI applications in conflict settings. Sierra Leone calls for a comprehensive global mapping and risk assessment of AI use in military and peace and security domains. This should be done in order to inform appropriate regulation, safeguards, and cooperative frameworks as well as facilitating continual updates and vigilant monitoring. Mr. President, Sierra Leone also urges that all AI development be rooted in these key fundamental principles: transparency, fairness, inclusivity, accountability, and respect for human rights. Those designing the most advanced AI models must be vigilant in addressing algorithmic biases and discriminatory outcomes. Government, developers, and civil society must work in partnership to ensure that new capabilities are aligned with the UN Charter and the Sustainable Goals. In conclusion, Sierra Leone calls for AI to be developed in a manner that fully respects international law, including international humanitarian law, and is guided by ethical principles that place human dignity, agency, and equity at the center, while reaffirming its commitment to working with member states, regional bodies, and the UN system to ensure that artificial intelligence becomes a force for peace and progress, not polarization or conflict. I thank you.
I thank His Excellency Mr. Kappa for his statement. I now give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Khawaja Muhammad Asif, Minister for Defense of Pakistan.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Mr. President, I deeply appreciate the Republic of Korea's initiative for convening this open debate. It is of special significance that President Lee Jae-myung is personally presiding over our deliberations. I thank Secretary General Guterres for his insightful and valuable briefing. We also thank other briefers. AI, Mr. President, is reshaping our world at breathtaking pace. It is the most consequential dual-use technology of our times, capable of accelerating socio-economic progress, but equally capable of deepening inequalities and destabilizing international order. Harnessed responsibly, AI can drive inclusive growth and shared prosperity. In the absence of global normative standards and legal guardrails, the AI revolution risks reinforcing digital divides, entrenching new forms of dependency, and imperiling peace. Unregulated and irresponsible use of AI enables disinformation campaigns, offensive cyber operations, and development of new types of armaments. The accelerating weaponization of AI through autonomous weapon systems and AI-driven command and control systems pose a grave danger. Mr. President, in recognition of the importance of this technology, Pakistan developed its first ever national artificial intelligence policy in July 2025. This transformative framework seeks to build AI infrastructure, train 1 million people, and ensure responsible, ethical use of AI. It lays out 6 pillars prioritizing innovation, public awareness, secure systems, sectorial transformation, infrastructure, and international partnership. Pakistan also hosted regional consultations on responsible AI in military domain. In Islamabad on 17 June 2025, in partnership with the Republic of Korea, the Netherlands, and Spain, we appreciate the leadership of ROK and Netherlands in this area. Excellencies, the AI transformation is unfolding in a highly uncertain international environment. The UN Charter is under strain. There is an attempt to normalize use of force. Arms control frameworks are fraying. Strategic competition is intensifying, and technological disparities are deepening. In such a context, the militarization of AI compounds the sense of insecurity, undermines the principle of equal security for all, and erodes trust. Excellencies, in the recent conflict in the subcontinent between India and Pakistan, for the first time, autonomous loitering munitions and high-speed dual-capable cruise missiles were used by one nuclear-armed state against another during the military exchange, which manifests the dangers which AI can pose. These developments raise serious questions for the future of warfare. 3 lessons are clear. 1. AI lowers the threshold for use of force, making wars more politically and operationally feasible. 2. AI compresses decisions time, narrowing the window for diplomacy and de-escalation. And 3. AI blurs domain boundaries, merging cyber, kinetic, and informational effects in unpredictable ways. Our collective approach to meet these challenges must rest on the following principle. First, the UN Charter and international law must fully govern the development and use of AI. Applications and without meaningful human control should be prohibited. Second, strategic communication on AI nuclear intersections is vital to reduce risk of miscalculation. Third, states must commit to measures that prevent destabilizing use and preemptive incentives. Fourth, developing countries must have the capacity, access, and voice to shape AI governance. Fifth, AI must not become a tool of coercion or technological monopoly. 6. AI governance must be anchored in the legitimacy of the United Nations system. 7. Attempts to monopolize strategic advantage will fail. The only sustainable path is cooperation based on mutual respect. Excellencies, development dimension of AI is crucial. The adoption of General Assembly Resolutions 78/311 led by China last year was a landmark achievement that established the first multilateral agreed blueprint for AI capacity building. Pakistan also welcomes the establishment of annual dialogue on AI governance, along with the International Scientific Panel. We also look forward to exploring further options of promoting AI capacity building by the UN. Mr. President, we must ensure that AI is harnessed to promote peace and development, not conflict and instability. Let us work together to shape an AI architecture that is inclusive, equitable, and effective. Let us preserve the primacy of human judgment in matters of war and peace, ensuring that even in an age of intelligent machines, innovation is guided by principles of morality and humanity. I thank you, Mr. President.
I thank His Excellency Mr. Asif for his statement. I now give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Ma Chaoshu, Executive Vice Minister for Foreign Affairs of China.
President, I'd like to thank the Republic of Korea for initiating this high-level open debate. As we speak, the rapid advancement of artificial intelligence is empowering a wide range of industries globally, while giving rise to new risks and challenges. It is imperative for the international community to build consensus on global AI governance so as to guide AI development toward inclusiveness in line with the vision of AI for good. In 2023, President Xi Jinping put forward the Global AI Governance Initiative, providing clear guidance for strengthening global AI governance. The UN Security Council bears the primary responsibility for maintaining international peace and security. Its role in advancing global AI governance and managing non-traditional security risks is indispensable. To this end, we should strengthen our efforts in the following areas. First, we must uphold a people-centered approach and adhere to the principle of developing AI for good. The development of artificial intelligence must always aim to enhance the well-being of humanity. It must be predicated on respect for human dignity, rights and interests, and be conducive to advancing human civilization. It is essential to accelerate the establishment and refinement of ethical norms and accountability mechanisms for AI, clearly delineate the responsibilities and power of relevant stakeholders, and ensure that AI research, development, and application adhere to international law and align with shared values of humanity. Second, we must accelerate empowerment action in the spirit of fairness, inclusiveness, openness, and sharing. It is vital to jointly foster an open, inclusive, fair, and non-discriminatory environment for technological development and firmly oppose unilateralism and protectionism. Reject the practices of decoupling, severing supply chains, and erecting high fences around a small yard. Avoid drawing ideological lines or overstretching the concept of national security, and eliminate artificially imposed technological barriers. We must strengthen AI capacity building and accelerate efforts to bridge the North-South AI divide. China supports the Security Council in exploring AI application scenarios in peacekeeping and peacebuilding, harnessing technology to empower peace. Third, we must firmly uphold the fundamental principles of peaceful use, safety, and controllability. It's essential to ensure that AI remains under human control and prevent the emergence of lethal autonomous weapons that operate without human intervention. When it comes to military application of AI technologies, all countries, major countries in particular, should take a prudent and responsible approach to prevent arms race and malicious use and misuse of AI, which may lead to disasters. The Security Council should give due regard to the risks associated with the misuse of AI by terrorist groups, extremist forces, and transnational criminal networks, and promote joint international response. Fourth, we must build a governance system based on peace, shared responsibility, and global solidarity. It's essential to step up coordination on AI strategies, governance norms, and technical standards, and develop AI governance frameworks, norms, and standards based on broad consensus. We support the UN in playing a central role in global AI governance. China welcomes the resolution adopted by the 79th session of the UN General Assembly to establish two mechanisms, namely the Global Dialogue on AI Governance and the Independent International Scientific Panel on AI. We hope that all parties can leverage this opportunity to engage in meaningful discussions on global AI governance. President, China remains committed to advancing global AI governance and international cooperation. Since last year, China has promoted the consensus-based adoption of the UNGA resolution entitled Enhancing International Cooperation on Capacity Building of Artificial Intelligence. We hosted the 2025 World AI Conference and the high-level meeting on global AI governance, released the Global AI Governance Action Plan, and proposed the creation of a global AI cooperation organization. Looking ahead, China will provide 200 capacity-building programs on digital economy and AI to developing countries to empower the Global South in achieving sustainable development. China attaches great importance to the security risks posed by the military applications of artificial intelligence and has consistently participated in global AI governance in the military domain with a responsible and constructive approach. In 2021, China released its position paper on regulating military applications of artificial intelligence and has since actively promoted the building of international consensus on the responsible development and use of AI in the military domain. This year marks the 80th anniversary of the founding of the UN, presenting a new opportunity to reform and improve the global governance system. Not long ago, President Xi Jinping solemnly put forward the Global Governance Initiative, calling on all countries to build a more just and equitable global governance system and to work together toward a community with a shared future for humankind. This provides fundamental guidance for global governance in emerging fields, including artificial intelligence. President, as a permanent member of the UN Security Council, China will continue to work with all countries to actively participate in global AI governance and contribute wisdom and strength to building a world of lasting peace and universal security. Thank you, President.
I thank His Excellency Mr. Ma for his statement. I now give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Mikhail Kratsios, Assistant to the President and Director of the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy of the United States.
My sincere thanks to the Republic of Korea as President of the Council and to President Lee as Chair, Secretary General Gutierrez, and to our briefers today, Professor Bengio and Professor Choi. Your Excellencies, the United States is committed to creating, promoting, and protecting the most innovative AI ecosystem in the world. AI is set to define the future of economic growth, national security, and global competitiveness. The Trump administration believes it is our responsibility to ensure this technology's development benefits all of our fellow citizens, safeguards their liberty and way of life, and protects our next generation. 2 months ago, President Trump unveiled America's AI Action Plan, based on 3 pillars: accelerating AI innovation, building AI infrastructure, and leading international AI diplomacy and security. The United States is resolved to stand at the forefront in developing and deploying frontier AI models and cutting-edge AI applications to address national security risks and usher in a new era of international peace and prosperity. Facilitating better, faster decision-making and enhanced situational awareness for warfighters and statesmen alike, AI technology will have revolutionary applications for war and for peace. But the improper use of AI systems can erode deterrence, create destabilizing effects, and reinforce systems of political control and social engineering. Knowing that, we are resolved that AI technologies used in national security applications are consistent with the highest levels and standards of privacy, civil liberties, transparency, and protections found in the laws of the United States. American companies are leading the charge in advancing the reliability and usefulness of AI systems, held to the highest standards of our commercial sector. We totally reject all efforts by international bodies to assert centralized control and global governance of AI. We believe that the responsible diffusion of AI will help pave the way to a flourishing future, one of increased productivity, empowered individuals, and revolutions in scientific advancement. The path to this world is not found in bureaucratic management, but in the freedom and duty of citizens, the prudence and cooperation of statesmen, and the independence and sovereignty of nations. We believe broad overregulation incentivizes centralization, stifles innovation, and increases the danger that these tools will be used for tyranny and conquest. Ideological fixations on social equity, climate catastrophism, and so-called existential risk are dangers to progress and obstacles to responsibly harnessing this technology as an extension of human ingenuity and capacities. Your Excellencies, the United States is focused on establishing American AI as a global gold standard and enabling allies and trade partners to build their own sovereign AI ecosystems with secure American technology. The President has called for an American AI export program which will support the deployment of full-stack AI technology packages globally. Through deal-making and diplomacy, we can create an AI ecosystem that fosters and promotes mutual prosperity and security. We call on all members of this Council to do the same. Thank you.
I thank His Excellency Mr. Kratsios for his statement. I now give the floor to the representative of Denmark.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, let me thank the Secretary General for his remarks, as well as the two briefers, Professor Bengio and Professor Choi, for sharing their insights with us. I would also like to express my sincere appreciation to the Republic of Korea for convening us today and for the tireless efforts in the AI domain. Mr. President, the unprecedented speed of AI innovation has brought about new opportunities for sustainable development, human rights, and peace and security. But we have also seen that AI carries significant risks, especially if not managed or used properly. AI exacerbates the security threats we face, for example, when it amplifies mis- and disinformation campaigns or malicious cyber activities. These threats do not only destabilize societies and jeopardize democracies, but also undermine the legitimacy and efforts of UN peacekeepers. AI operates in the virtual space, but it can put real people at real risk. We need to mitigate those risks and counter abuse and misuse, and we need to do so quickly. Together, we must ensure that AI benefits all of us. We must work against widening digital divides and against the potential of AI to cause damage and conflict. Mr. President, Denmark's main priority is to ensure safe and trustworthy AI that is used in compliance with international law, in particular international humanitarian law and international human rights law. This includes AI-enabled weapons. Responsibility and accountability cannot be delegated to machines. Human oversight and human control in decision-making is required. In this regard, Denmark is encouraged by continued deepening of international cooperation in relation to AI. We support the creation of a cohesive global framework for AI governance, and Denmark has also endorsed the Paris Declaration on maintaining human control in AI-enabled weapon systems. We call for a particular focus on accountability, as well as on a multi-stakeholder approach that involves civil society, technical experts, industry, and academia alike. Mr. President, AI technologies can bolster the UN's capabilities in multiple ways. For example, by detecting and addressing cyber threats, monitoring the implementation of sanction regimes, and countering mis- and disinformation and hate speech. AI has the potential to enhance the safety and operational effectiveness of UN peace operations and support remote monitoring of ceasefire agreements. This is particularly important on the ground, where UN peace operations work under difficult and dangerous circumstances to implement the mandates adopted by this Council. AI models can process data from satellites, drones, and sensors in real time to monitor movement of troops, vehicles, and artillery, and issue automated alerts. Instead of relying on manual reports, UN staff can respond more quickly with decision-making supported by technology. These opportunities of AI cannot be realized without decisive action and commitment. We must ensure that AI technologies are developed, deployed, and managed responsibly. Mr. President, to conclude, Denmark stands ready to contribute to ensure that AI systems remain safe, secure, and trustworthy. We welcome the engagement of this Council, and we look forward to further considerations on how AI systems can be leveraged by the UN to advance international peace and security. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Denmark for her statement. I now give the floor to the representative of the Russian Federation.
Спасибо.
Thank you, Mr. President. We thank Antonio Guterres and the briefers for their contributions to our discussion. Today, artificial intelligence is not only a trendy topic discussed by a great many, it is above all essential to successful technological development, economic and social progress, and is also a crucial element of national security for any state. AI technologies are being applied in the political, social, economic, and defense spheres. However, this technology also carries serious risks and is emerging as a new factor that could affect the stability of the entire system of international relations. AI-based technologies can influence public opinion and election outcomes through the dissemination of news, publications, and fake content on social media. They can also impact the functioning of critical infrastructure in other countries. And let's be honest, no one in the world fully understands all the risks associated with AI, and this fact cannot be ignored. Let me begin with the positives. Artificial intelligence undoubtedly has significant potential to promote economic development. According to various estimates, if current growth rates continue, the AI industry could contribute up to $15.7 trillion to the global economy by 2030. Moreover, artificial intelligence can help achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. Relevant applications already being developed and implemented to address challenges in areas such as climate change and healthcare. One of AI's key features is its potential impact on employment. According to the projections of the International Monetary Fund, AI is capable of taking over nearly 40% of jobs worldwide, replacing and supplementing human labor. As a result, countries with developed economies will have greater opportunities to leverage its benefits compared to emerging markets and developing nations. This will exacerbate digital inequality and the already significant imbalance in global development, which in turn could lead to social tensions and new conflicts. Given the obvious benefits of AI and the incentives to adopt its most advanced forms, the so-called artificial intelligence race, the drive to outpace geopolitical rivals by rapidly expanding the boundaries of a still unknown and uncontrolled technology, without commensurate efforts to ensure its safety for all actors, could, like the arms race, pose an existential risk to humanity's future. And this is not the only potential threat posed by the development of artificial intelligence. It is therefore no surprise that the number of those who see AI primarily as an opportunity is comparable to those who view it mainly as a potential threat. In any case, I would venture to say that there is virtually no one in the world who is indifferent to this issue today, and it is predictably becoming a topic of discussion across a number of political and expert bodies. The United Nations Security Council is no exception. However, we are convinced that discussions on this topic within this key UN body tasked with maintaining international peace and security face clear limitations. First of all, we find it difficult to understand how the generic topic of artificial intelligence aligns with the Security Council's clearly defined mandate under the UN Charter, mainly the mandate to maintain international peace and security. Second, and equally important, the Security Council consists of 15 member states, and in the Council there is a clear and unnatural overrepresentation of Western states. This creates a risk that that group of states interested in preserving and consolidating their technological leadership in this area may attempt to impose a narrow, self-serving approach on the international community at the expense of inclusive, specialized formats carrying out practical work in this area. For example, discussions on cyber attacks involving artificial intelligence should be held within the global mechanism established to replace the UN Open-Ended Working Group on Security of and in the Use of ICTs. This negotiation platform is mandated to address key ICT security issues, including artificial intelligence. This new body, unlike the UN Security Council, will allow all countries to participate equally in decision-making. When it comes to the military aspects of AI use, multilateral and inclusive specialized platforms also exist for this purpose, primarily the group of governmental experts on lethal autonomous weapon systems within the framework of the Convention on Certain Conventional Weapons, as well as the UN Disarmament Commission. These bodies, incidentally, have yet to develop a common understanding of even the most basic issues, including terminology. I think we all understand that in this context, moving discussions of such sensitive issues to other fora, especially the Security Council, and in particular discussions of the impact of AI technologies on other non-proliferation and disarmament aspects, is at the very least premature. Mr. President, I ask that you do not project our position regarding the Security Council and AI onto the UN as a whole. We believe that our global organization can and should play a coordinating role in AI development as a counterbalance to various non-inclusive and temporary formats with politicized agendas. What is key, in our view, is to reach universal agreements with states playing the leading role based on equitable dialogue and, of course, with due consideration for all of the negotiation participants' legitimate interests. Unfortunately, the states I referred to earlier are not only trying to widen their technological gap with the global south in AI, as I said, they are also organizing non-inclusive summits on the responsible military use of AI, which are destructive in nature. I refer in particular to the Seoul Summit, AI Summit of 2024, a limited, restricted format to which most developing countries were not invited. Similar examples include the Bletchley Conference in 2023 and the Paris Conference in 2025. These events and the documents they adopt do not reflect the views of all stakeholders and cannot serve as a foundation for future work that would reflect a common understanding of this issue. The noble goal of preventatively developing responsible AI regulation is only noble in words. In reality, the regulatory system that is being imposed is dangerous and harmful as it explicitly divides AI applications into good and bad. And this raises the key question: who will decide what is responsible use and what is not? It seems that this decision will end up being with the same restricted group of countries, excluding the vast majority of UN member states. Attempts to establish certain countries' rules and standards at the Security Council level and to have them replace international legal instruments, including by promoting non-inclusive formats and coalitions, is unlikely to bring us closer to a shared approach to AI, including its military aspects. This could ultimately backfire and have a negative impact on the maintenance of international peace and security. We would caution our colleagues against such reckless steps. Our position remains unchanged. We support the UN's coordinating role in AI matters. We welcome the creation of mechanisms on AI issues within the framework of the UN, such as the UN Global Dialogue and the Independent International Scientific Panel. We look forward to productive discussions within these mechanisms based on respect for state sovereignty and compliance with national laws by AI developers. We hope that everyone in this room shares the conviction that AI must never be allowed to dominate over humans and human values. For our part, we are ready to continue with substantive, equitable, and mutually respectful work on all aspects of artificial intelligence in all inclusive specialized bodies in order to find solutions that satisfy everyone and maximize the benefits of AI for the entire planet. Thank you for your attention.
I thank the representative of the Russian Federation for the statement. I now give the floor to the representative of France.
Mr. President, I'd like to thank the Republic of Korea for the initiative of holding this open debate. I'd also like to thank the UN Secretary General for his remarks complementing the written report. And I thank the briefers, Mr. Bengio and Ms. Choi, for their briefings. Artificial intelligence is the major technological revolution of our century. It is already transforming our societies and economies. In the coming years, it will increasingly influence international peace and security. The Secretary-General pointed this out. This technology must serve peace and the common good. France is committed to this. We launched the Global Partnership on AI in 2019 alongside Canada. France is implementing the European AI regulation governing high-risk uses. We've also adopted the Global Digital Compact at the Summit of the Future 1 year ago. And in February 2025, during the Summit for Action on Artificial Intelligence, we launched the Current AI initiative with the aim of placing AI at the service of the public interest. 3 key principles must guide our action. Firstly, the new opportunities offered by artificial intelligence must strengthen the impact and the effectiveness of United Nations action. Used responsibly, AI's data collection and analysis capabilities can improve the protection of civilian populations and facilitate the work of peace operations. AI can be mobilized to identify early warning signals of conflicts. It can be used for planning, decision support, performance measurement, and also training. AI also allows us to better anticipate and manage the risk of humanitarian crises, climate disasters, and help us to reduce the environmental impact of peace operations. This is why France supports the modernization of tools serving peace, such as decision support platforms like UnitedWare or early warning systems in Africa within the framework of the Silencing the Guns project and the use of AI for this purpose. Secondly, the use of AI in matters pertaining to peace and security must be able to be regulated. Disinformation and the manipulation of information facilitated by generative AI threaten our democracies, undermine peace operations, and endanger the security of peacekeepers. In cyberspace, AI increases the capabilities of those who seek to exploit our vulnerabilities. In the military domain, the prospect of weapons systems integrating AI presents risks regarding compliance with international humanitarian law. This is why we fully agree with the Secretary-General, namely that no decision of life or death should ever be transferred to an autonomous weapons system operating without any human control. To build a future international regulatory instrument for lethal autonomous weapon systems, France will remain engaged in the dedicated group of governmental experts, and their work must continue beyond 2026. At the United Nations, and in accordance with General Assembly Resolution 79239, introduced by the Republic of Korea and adopted last December, we must continue to collectively assess the consequences of applying artificial intelligence in the military domain. In other fora, France will continue the work carried out by the European Union and the Council of Europe, as well as by South Korea and the Netherlands at the summits on responsible AI in the military domain, RE-AIM. Thirdly, we must promote governance around AI that is inclusive, multilateral, and respectful of fundamental rights. Linguistic fragmentation would mean new rivalries in the world. Normative fragmentation would mean competition between rival models and would deepen digital divides. Such a prospect is not desirable for any state. A common governance architecture must be built based on international law and respect for human rights. That's why France supports the rapid implementation of the Independent Scientific Panel and the global dialogue provided for by the Global Digital Compact of the United Nations. Following on from the Paris Summit for AI Action, we must develop AI that is trustworthy, inclusive, and environmentally sustainable. We share the view of several of our partners that the Security Council has a specific role to play. It must do so in coherence with other ongoing processes at the United Nations or elsewhere by providing added value on issues within its mandate, whether that be conflict prevention, peacekeeping, or peace building. Mr. President, in conclusion, France calls for collective mobilization so that artificial intelligence remains a tool at the service of peace, sustainable development and human rights. We must act together so that this technological revolution means shared progress for all and not new divisions. France will continue to make its full contribution to this common effort. I thank you. Thank you very much.
Representative of France for the statement. I now give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Karol Nawrocki, President of Poland.
President, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for this debate. Artificial intelligence is no longer a laboratory experiment. It is a tool used by millions of people around the world every day in all areas of our life, including national security. Today, our security is threatened not only by tanks and missiles, but also cyber attacks, disinformation campaigns, the use of so-called deepfakes, and manipulation in the information space. These are also modern weapons, very different from conventional ones. In recent years, Poland, like many others, has become the target of increasingly intense attacks from hostile countries, mainly Russia. We are attacked every day. Let me mention that only last year, over 100,000 confirmed incidents were reported in Poland. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that AI can be our shield on this new cyber battlefield and give us a real advantage. Poland is not standing on the sidelines of this revolution. We have enormous potential and great examples from our history in which outstanding Polish scientists influenced the fate of the world. Let me recall Polish mathematicians Marian Rejewski, Jerzy Różycki, and Henryk Zygalski. I know that it's very difficult to pronounce it in English, who broke the Enigma code during World War II, combining science, courage, and allied cooperation to protect human lives. Many innovative technology startups are developing in Poland today, creating solutions based on AI. Our research teams and technical universities are involved in international projects and leading global companies. I'm convinced that we must do everything we can to support the development of new technologies, including those that help strengthen our resilience and national security. To achieve that goal, 3 weeks ago, I signed a legislative initiative to establish a breakthrough technology development fund in Poland. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, in Poland we are fully aware that for artificial intelligence to truly serve peace and global development, it must be based on much more than just technology. It must be based on transparent principles consistent with human ethics and international regulations. We need a forum where countries can share their experiences in the responsible implementation of AI, including in the security and defense sector. I think that the Security Council can become a leader in developing rules for the use of AI in armed conflicts and enforce standards limiting its use against humans. Ladies and gentlemen, artificial intelligence is a tool. So little and so much. It is up to us whether it will be a tool of creation or a tool of destruction, whether we will use it to protect our values or allow it to be used against them. Poland is ready to cooperate, to share our know-how, to collaborate in developing best practices, to engage in international cooperation in the spirit of ethics, with a view to preserving peace and the principles of international law. Thank you very much for your attention.
I thank His Excellency Mr. Navrotsky for the statement. I now give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa, President of Portugal.
Thank you, Mr. President. Excellencies, this is a crucial and timely debate. Artificial intelligence develops faster than our capacity to assess its impact. Its integration into the military domain has particularly profound implications. If misused, it threatens global stability, undermines trust between states, and jeopardizes international humanitarian law. This is namely the case with autonomous weapon systems. Human control, decision and accountability must be at the heart of the use of force. It is a moral, ethical, and legal responsibility that cannot and should not be delegated. This is why Portugal strongly supports the Secretary General's recommendation for an international treaty banning lethal autonomous weapon systems. Excellencies, we believe results are better achieved through cooperation. With Canada, Portugal co-chairs the Working Group on Accountability, following the political declaration on the responsible military use of AI. We are also engaged in the process on responsible use of AI in the military. Finally, we are investing in digital training so that the benefits of AI reach all regions on an equal footing. The UN Portugal Digital Fellowship Capacity Building Program is the latest example. Excellencies, the Security Council has a decisive role to play in ensuring that AI is used for the common good. Alongside strategic debates, it can take very practical measures within its mandate, like providing missions with the means to confront disinformation campaigns, creating practical guides on AI in conflict scenarios, or use AI tools to improve risk prevention and analysis. Excellencies, innovation must be at the service of humanity, never against it. Artificial intelligence must be an ally of peace, security, and dignity of all citizens. Portugal is fully committed to this common goal, always faithful to the United Nations Charter. Thank you very much for your attention.
Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa for the statement. I now give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Aidarus Kasem Abdulaziz Al Jubaidi, Vice President of Yemen.
Thank you, Mr. President. In the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate. Mr. President, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, artificial intelligence is a radical change in our modern world. It brings a tremendous capacity for innovation and development, but also poses challenges and risks that could exacerbate instability, especially in countries that have suffered from protracted conflicts. For decades, our people have suffered from oppression, conflicts, and marginalization, as well as instability, especially by terrorist Houthi militias that are supported from Iran. We saw how artificial intelligence can be used as a tool by the Houthis to spread misinformation and false propaganda, and fuel Iran's efforts to spread autonomous weapons systems and threaten security and stability. Artificial intelligence is a double-edged sword. Without good governance, it could turn into a tool used by terrorist groups to threaten international peace and security, and international and regional security. At the same time, if used responsibly, it could contribute to building peace, promoting good governance, and it will allow our societies to rebuild their institutions and basic services. Mr. President, Mr. President, addressing artificial intelligence is not a purely technical matter. It is an issue of sovereignty and the dignity of peoples. If controlled by foreign parties, it could threaten fragile stability. But if used responsibly, it could support local governance and provide early warning tools to prevent conflicts and promote economic resilience. To benefit from artificial intelligence to the maximum, we should take into account 4 priorities. 1. Development. Artificial intelligence could help states that suffer from wars, such as Yemen, in rebuilding their basic services in health, education, energy, and water management sectors. Its agriculture and climate prediction technologies can promote adaptation to environmental challenges, which could exacerbate instability. 2. Local peace and security. Using artificial intelligence to promote peace is very important. In my country, this could take place by monitoring the ceasefire and identifying the flow of illicit arms, while promoting open source information gathering on the moves of terrorist Houthi militias and their propaganda networks. If used correctly, it could promote the trust of societies in their local institutions and reassure donors that their assistance is delivered to those in need. 3. International and regional peace and security. Responsible use of advanced technologies and artificial intelligence is closely linked to international and regional peace and security. We saw how the access by Houthi militias to this technology had a direct impact on security in the region. It led to the targeting of maritime navigation corridors, the global economy, energy supplies, and civilian infrastructure in the region. This is why, if this technology falls in the hands of illegal terrorists, we could witness an escalation that we might not be able to control in the future. Therefore, we are playing our role in promoting security and stability by explaining our experience first and turning it into an opportunity for cooperation and collaboration with between the Presidential Leadership Council and the Arab Alliance and international community, based on our prevention strategy adopted by the Presidential Leadership Council. 4. Achieving justice and respecting the principles of the UN Charter. Artificial intelligence should be a helping factor to achieve justice and law enforcement, not only locally but also internationally. Artificial intelligence should not negatively affect the aspirations or rights of people as guaranteed by international instruments and conventions, especially the UN Charter. For this reason, this technology should be used to serve the people in developing themselves and promoting their participation at the United Nations to ensure their right to self-determination in line with their will. May the peace, mercy, and blessings of God be upon you.
I thank His Excellency Mr. Al-Jubaidi for his statement. I now give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Sitibani Ligama Mamada Labuka, Prime Minister and Minister for Foreign Affairs, Civil Service and Public Enterprises and Information of Fiji.
Thank you, Your Excellency, President Jae Myung Lee. Your Excellencies, I'm indeed grateful for this opportunity to speak on this issue, and I sincerely thank the Republic of Korea for their leadership this month. We now live in a world where our lives are reliant on digital technologies. In line with the Pact of the Future, technological advancements and enhanced artificial intelligence can support peace and security by improving human capacity to detect, prevent, and manage conflict. But AI cannot resolve them on its own. Peace is ultimately a human process involving trust, justice, and political will. AI is a digital tool, not a solution in itself. AI can analyze conflict prevention and early warning for timely intervention by governments and organizations. AI strengthens defenses against cyber attacks and the spread of disinformation. It can also detect online hate speech or extremist recruitment. In conflict zones, including in states affected by climate change and natural disasters, AI enhances the mapping and location of displaced populations. The UN Security Council, therefore, needs to consider a global governance architecture through an intergovernmental process on the use of AI in peace and security, and to map clearly its risks and challenges. On our part, the Pacific leaders have endorsed the Ocean of Peace Declaration. We have declared our region as a zone of peace, where sovereignty, respect, and rights uphold our way of life. A region free from military interference, a region that upholds and sustains peace. In closing, I cannot overemphasize the need for the United Nations Security Council to act in an inclusive process to examine the potential that AI has to offer, including its risks in peace and security. We need to act swiftly together now. Thank you.
I thank His Excellency Mr. Rabuka for the statement. I now give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Ervin Ibrahimovic, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Foreign Affairs of Montenegro.
Thank you, Mr. President, Excellencies, distinguished colleagues. I thank the Republic of Korea for convening this important debate at such a critical moment. Across the globe, unresolved conflicts and rising geopolitical tensions test our collective ability to safeguard peace. At the same time, the pace of technological transformation brings new and complex risks. Among them, artificial intelligence stands out, holding not only extraordinary potential to advance humanity, but also the power to deepen existing security challenges. AI can act as a powerful force to good, strengthening peacekeeping, early warning and conflict prevention, and humanitarian response. Yet, in the wrong hands or without proper safeguards, it can be weaponized to spread disinformation, enable cyber attacks, or even design novel weapons. Montenegro is fully aware of both risks and opportunities that AI brings. By the end of this year, we will finalize our first national strategy for AI. It will provide a comprehensive framework for the responsible development and use of this technology. As a future member of the EU, we will strive to align it with the highest standards of the EU AI Act. Mr. President, raising awareness of risk must go hand in hand with unlocking the potential of AI for innovation, security, and sustainable development. This requires global accountability and strong partnership. The private sector, as the primary driver of technological advancement, must be a key partner in building safe, transparent, and human-centered AI solutions. International cooperation is also necessary. The Security Council has a distinct role to play in ensuring that AI contribution to peace and security rather than undermine them. We encourage collective effort to establish norms and guidelines, foster trust and transparency, and ensure that all countries benefit from this technology in a safe and responsible manner. In this regard, Montenegro welcomed the launch of the Global Dialogue on AI governance. Considering its rapid advancement, including the future artificial general intelligence, we see it is a unique, inclusive platform that brings together multi-stakeholders to advance collective approaches in line with global digital compact. In closing, allow me to reaffirm Montenegro's readiness to contribute constructively to this effort. If we don't act responsibly today, we risk handing future generations a technology that divides rather than unites. But if we act together, AI can become a force for peace, not a danger. Thank you.
I thank His Excellency Mr. Abraham Mobi for the statement. Now I give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Dick Schoof, Prime Minister of the Kingdom of the Netherlands.
Thank you, Mr. President. When the Dutch philosopher Cornelis Verhoeven was asked for his opinion on the digital revolution, he said, "Computers will never be able to do what we do because we created them." And then again, that's what the ape said about us. It might sound like a flippant remark, but there's an element of truth to it too. We're here today to talk about artificial intelligence and international peace and security. It's such an important topic that South Korea has put it on the Security Council agenda, which we greatly appreciate. And when it comes to AI, opinion is generally divided into two camps, for and against. But if we look more closely, it's clear that the positive and negative views on AI's potential are equally valid. Because AI can indeed help provide solutions to global issues like climate change, food security, water management, and collateral damage in military conflicts. But it can also be used for cyber attacks and disinformation campaigns, so there's every reason for us to develop accountability mechanisms. In 2023, the Netherlands and South Korea jointly initiated a broad international debate on the responsible use of AI in the military domain, the RE-AIM process. As part of this process, the Netherlands launched a global commission on responsible AI in the military domain. This independent body is made up of around 20 international commissioners, from philosophers and lawyers to mathematicians and computer scientists, and is supported by a broad group of experts. It's been working on this issue for the past 18 months, and today it's presenting its final report with concrete recommendations on how governments can embed this theme in their policy agendas. But beyond the military domain, AI has already spread more broadly into our day-to-day lives. And while everyone accepts that we need security safeguards for military applications, that isn't automatically the case in other areas. So we need to pay special attention to those areas too. This is a task that the Netherlands takes very seriously. By drawing up frameworks and impact analyses for the use of AI and algorithms, as well as by working with a range of organizations concerned with raising awareness and providing information on AI, including ELSA Labs, which stands for Ethical, Legal and Societal Aspects of AI. But of course, this requires a broader approach too. The Netherlands supports the EU vision on jointly building an innovative European ecosystem focused on people, trust and accountability. These are all steps in the right direction. At the same time, we know this is a technology that sometimes moves faster than we can expect. So we need to move fast too. We need to keep up tempo and keep this issue on the global UN agenda. It's also important to remember that every innovation begins with belief in its potential. Take healthcare, for example, where robots are carefully analyzing CT and MRI scans and even performing operations, leaving humans to do what only humans can do. So let's not focus only on the risk that AI entails, but also on the opportunity it brings. And now, Mr. President, I'm keen to hear all the views of all the others in this room. Thank you so much.
I thank His Excellency Mr. Schoof for the statement. Now I give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Sadir Japarov, President of Kyrgyzstan.
Dear Chairman, President, dear Council members, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, let me express my sincere appreciation to the President of the Republic of Korea, Mr. Lee Jae-myung, for organizing this high-level meeting. I consider the inclusion of this topic in the agenda of the United Nations Security Council to be both timely and highly relevant. Distinguished participants, currently Kyrgyzstan is actively working on the introduction of the AI technologies in public administration and key sectors of the economy. In accordance with the Digital Transformation Concept for 2024-2028, we are implementing a number of initiatives. Among them are the creation of a national artificial intelligence platform, a high-performance computing center, and the development of educational programs for training specialists. In this area, Kyrgyzstan participates in initiatives under the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and is engaged in discussions on joint projects with countries of Central Asia and the Commonwealth of Independent States. Dear Mr. President, Chair, artificial intelligence is becoming one of the most advanced and transformative technologies in the 21st century. It affects all spheres of our lives. At the same time, we cannot turn a blind eye or ignore the new challenges. These include the militarization of AI, the design and development of autonomous armed systems, cybersecurity threats, and the spread of disinformation. These risks can undermine confidence among members of the international community, jeopardize strategic stability, and potentially lead to new forms of conflict. Kyrgyzstan firmly believes that artificial intelligence technologies should serve exclusively the goals of peace, conflict prevention, and protection of human life. In this regard, we can call for the advancement of international standards and regulations in the field of responsible use of AI. The benefits of these technologies must be available to all countries, not only developed, but also developing ones. Dear colleagues, Kyrgyzstan has put forward its candidacy for non-permanent membership of the UN Security Council for the term 2027-2028. If elected to the Security Council, we are ready to contribute to efforts of the international community to ensure the use of artificial intelligence for peaceful purposes, as well as actively participate in joint initiatives. Thank you very much for your attention.
I thank His Excellency Mr. Japarov for the statement. Now I give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Abdullah Ben Mellouk, General Director of Multilateral Issues of Morocco.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, President. Our Minister of Foreign Affairs was detained at another meeting, and I will read his statement on his behalf. Your President, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to thank the Republic of Korea, the President of the Council, for this very timely debate on artificial intelligence as a tool for preserving international peace and security. We are addressing this discussion at a time when rapid technological advancement in the AI realm is profoundly transforming the dynamics of global security. Artificial intelligence can certainly turn out to be a force of upheaval. However, when used responsibly, it provides enormous opportunities. The Kingdom of Morocco is convinced that AI possesses transformative potential as a tool that can bolster efforts in the area of preventing, maintaining, and consolidating peace. As a nation committed to peace, stability, and responsible technological process, Morocco would like to emphasize 4 points. First of all, we must invest in AI systems that are capable of detecting early signs of instability, particularly in the most fragile regions, because early detection allows to prevent conflicts and save lives. Secondly, artificial intelligence must be used to fight digital misinformation by detecting content such as harmful content such as hate speech, disinformation, and incitement to violence. This is particularly important in areas where peacekeeping operations are deployed and where such speech threatens the implementation of mandates as well as the safety and security of blue helmets. Thirdly, we can and we must use the capacities provided by artificial intelligence to manage environmental challenges related to water shortages, droughts, and agricultural system disruptions. Finally, the Security Council, in line with its mandate, could consider a similar approach to that of its Resolution 1540 on weapons of mass destruction when it comes to AI capacities if they were to fall into the hands of terrorist groups and non-state actors. President, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Morocco reaffirms its commitment to work with all partners for a responsible use of artificial intelligence guided by principles that guarantee respect for international law and ethical considerations, preventing discrimination, equitable access to transfer of technologies, environmental responsibility when it comes to deploying AI infrastructure, and governance that encourages innovation. I thank you.
I thank His Excellency Mr. Mellouk for the statement. I now give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Kan Parut, Secretary of State of Cambodia.
Excellency Lee Jang-myok, President of the Republic of Korea, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to represent the Royal Government of Cambodia at this important open debate on the implication of artificial intelligence for international peace and security. I wish to commend the Republic of Korea for its remarkable leadership as President of the Security Council for this month, and to express my appreciations to the Secretary General and all briefers for their insightful remarks. Artificial intelligence is no longer an abstract concept. It is already reshaping the global security landscape. AI holds immense promise in peacekeeping, conflict prevention, humanitarian actions, and post-conflict recovery. Yet, its dual-use nature also presents profound risks. Disinformation campaign, cyber attacks, the development of autonomous weapons, and threat to non-proliferation and human rights. The choice before us is stark. AI can either serve as a catalyst for peace and stability or as multiplier for insecurity and conflict. Excellency President, ladies and gentlemen, in this regard, permit me to highlight the following key points. First, the safe, ethical, and responsible use of AI must be a global priority. Making responsible AI a worldwide priority is not optional. It is a duty that requires urgent and coordinated global action, rooted in law and ethical norms, driven by cooperation and guided by a shared commitment to humanity. Cambodia therefore supports establishing a dedicated UN body on AI under Secretary General to ensure effective governance, protect peace, and promote sustainable development in line with the new agenda for peace. Second, AI should be harnessed for peace. When guided responsibly, it can serve as an early warning mechanism, detect conflict pattern, enhance peace process, and strengthen the protection of civilians in peacekeeping. Cambodia also underscored the importance of making AI as a tool for inclusive governance and recovery, particularly in the Global South. We call upon the UN member states, the private sector, and academia to prioritize capacity building for developing countries to bridge the technological divide. Third, cooperation indispensable. No country can address the complexity and multifaceted impact of AI alone. Cambodia supports multilateral efforts, including within the United Nations Security Council, to establish common norms, share best practices, and enhance safeguards to ensure that AI contributes to stability, prosperity, and respect for human dignity. Against this backdrop, Cambodia is in the process to formulating its first national artificial intelligence strategy 2025 to 2030, and it has become the fourth country in Southeast Asia to complete a national artificial intelligence readiness assessment, a UNESCO-led AI readiness assessment RAM, and in line with this national digital economy and society framework 21-25. In conclusion, Cambodia reaffirmed its commitment to working with all member states to shape a future where artificial intelligence promotes peace, security, and humanity. We pledge to ensure that the development and use of AI technology follow international law and reflect our shared value, driving a global vision that is inclusive, ethical, and grounded in respect of humanity. I thank you, Mr. President.
I thank His Excellency Mr. Khan for the statement. Now I give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Lutfei Siddiqui, Special Envoy on International Affairs to the Chief Advisor of Bangladesh.
Thank you, Mr. President, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen. The enormous benefits of AI are self-evident. At the same time, the potential perils of AI are pernicious, for which we need appropriate policy responses, both at national and international levels. Mr. President, with the exception of city-states, Bangladesh is the most densely populated country in the world with a large young population. Heavy density means that online disinformation can spread very quickly with serious offline consequences in the physical world, especially when that disinformation is conducted from outside our borders. With weaponized AI, the policy challenges are great unless we work together internationally across borders. The United Nations has the opportunity to ensure that all member states play a constructive role in combating motivated disinformation efforts from across borders. The UN may also play a catalytic role in ensuring greater cooperation between platform companies or technology companies and governments. Member states may also collaborate to share experiences in educating their populations against AI-doctored disinformation. We welcome the ongoing UN and multilateral initiatives, including the Secretary General's call for a global digital compact, the recent launch of the Global Dialogue on AI Governance, and the establishment of an independent international scientific panel. These are crucial not just for peace and security, but also to ensure that the fruits of AI are inclusive to all and the threats from AI protect the most vulnerable of all. Bangladesh is ready and eager to contribute to these initiatives. I thank you.
I thank His Excellency Mr. Siddiqui for the statement. And now we have the last speaker. I give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Martin Prick, Director of the Office Foreign Affairs of the Liechtenstein.
Mr. President, the use of AI tools has become a reality in our daily lives. As with all technologies, it brings potential benefits, but also considerable risks. We must ensure that the development and use of AI tools take place in line with the UN Charter and international law. Mr. President, used responsibly, AI tools can help the humanitarian community refine early warning systems and improve crisis response through better data collection and analysis. In so doing, these tools can also support conflict prevention efforts as well as the efficiency and precision of humanitarian missions. adhering to international humanitarian law and international human rights law in this context would, in particular, require that such tools are developed, monitored, and implemented in line with principles of transparency, accountability, and inclusivity, for example, with the co-ownership of affected communities. Mr. President, the use of AI tools in warfare has resulted in serious violations of international humanitarian law. For example, AI is increasingly used to automate the process of targeting. With human life at stake, algorithmic bias in these tools can result in ethically and legally unacceptable results, without even the hypothetical prospect of accountability. Civilian harm resulting from the use of AI tools demonstrates the need to redouble our efforts to prohibit fully autonomous weapons in international law, in line with the recent call of the Secretary General. Life or death decisions must never be made without human control. Ensuring meaningful human control over AI tools is the bare minimum standard for compliance with international humanitarian and international human rights law, and the only way to ensure that accountability for violations is achievable. Regulation is also needed to ensure that AI tools cannot be used to spread disinformation and hate speech. Such regulation would ideally pave the way to ensure that those who develop or deploy such tools are held accountable for violations they are responsible for, in accordance with applicable international law. Mr. President, malicious cyber operations, including those enabled by AI tools, can cause devastating harm to civilians. And yet there remains a troubling lack of clarity on how international criminal law applies to cyber warfare. While there is broad agreement that international law governs cyberspace, its practical application remains unsettled, especially in the context of accountability for cyber-related atrocities. We therefore wish to draw your attention to the Council of Advisors report on the application of the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court to cyber warfare, prepared by Liechtenstein. This report seeks to contribute to a clearer understanding of how the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court applies in the cyber domain, which is essential not only for the court's work, but also for guiding the UN Security Council in its mandate to refer situations involving the commission of the most serious crimes under international law. I thank you.
I thank His Excellency Mr. Prick for the statement. There are still a number of speakers remaining on my list for this meeting. I intend, with the concurrence of members of the Council, to suspend this meeting until tomorrow, 25 September at 3 p.m. This meeting is suspended.